I wrote a book recently in which I tried to answer the puzzle, why was the United States so innovative over the last 30 or 40 years when it has always done badly at science and math tests? People think that the United States does badly on these PISA tests that Singapore does superbly on now, but the United States did badly in them in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, and yet has dominated the world of innovation, science, research, technology. And one way of answering the question is I asked myself, what other countries have been very innovative using the same measures? The two that popped up were Sweden in Europe and Israel, which are both off the charts. And what was striking to me about them was that Sweden and Israel both also did very badly in those tests. In fact, they did worse than the United States. But then you ask yourself, well, what are they good at? They're very open, dynamic, flexible economies. And very crucially, it seemed to me, and talking to a number of people who study this, they have a culture of a lack of respect for authority, of a deliberate, almost upending of hierarchy, of challenging of authority, and of perhaps undue self-confidence. So when you ask Americans, how did you do on, PISA asks at the end of the math test, they ask, how do you think you did? And the Americans do very badly on the math, but they do fantastically on the self-confidence scale. They come second. You ask yourself, who comes number one? Israel. Who comes number 5? Sweden, even though it's 27th in math. You see where I'm going. You need a culture of disrespect in Singapore. I'm going to pause it. After having spent 6 hours yesterday trying to...
I don't think we are lacking in that.
But I think that there is a very strenuous effort. You spent 6 hours like yesterday in court trying to do this, to instill a culture of respect. And isn't it exactly the opposite of what you need for your economic future?
I think you must have a balance. You want people who stand up. You don't want people who scrape and bow. But if you don't have a certain natural aristocracy in the system, people who are respected because they have earned that, and we level everything down to the lowest common denominator, then I think the society will lose out. You may think that the Israelis do this because they are rude to one another, but I think the Israelis also do this because they're very smart, and I think they're smarter than us. I don't have evidence, but I know that if you look at Nobel Prize winners, many are Jewish. If you look at the people who came from Russia and immigrated to Israel, scientists, mathematicians, writers, musicians, everybody who came down off the aeroplane carried either a double bass or a violin or a little clarinet tube, and the chap who came down empty-handed, he was the conductor. Any number of symphony orchestras in Israel. I have one, it's not bad, and a few other small ones, but I don't have that same concentration of brilliance. America has some of your own, many attracted from around the world. And you've given them a matrix where I think disrespect has been helpful. And it's worked for you in specific spots, Silicon Valley, Harvard, you go to MIT, you go to Yale, Carnegie Mellon. It blossoms. So even though your overall PISA scores are not very good, you have these spots of excellence where people can work with one another and you never have to meet somebody you think, why am I wasting my time? That's how they feel, and that's why they go there.
But it's beyond intelligence, Prime Minister. You go to a Chinese lab, they're brilliant. The junior researcher would never dare question the chairman of the department.
That is a problem.
That's the point I'm making.
That is a problem. And so the Chinese leave and they go to America. Some of them. They do.
And then in our eternal wisdom, we reject
the right balance. You must have the right balance. If you end up with anarchy, it doesn't mean that you'll be delivered with brilliance.
Could it be that Singapore is too paranoid about anarchy and in that fear will not develop innovation?
I think if you look around Singapore and spend a bit longer, you'll find it's not such an orderly place as all that.
When you think about the future...
I spent 6 hours in court yesterday. If this were a really orderly place, would I have to do that?
Well...